Please welcome actor and producer Dwayne Johnson.
All right. Well, the last award of the night goes to someone who I've grown very close to over the years now, since 2018, 2019. His name is Benny Safdie. And Benny, I feel, an extraordinary director, an auteur, and a friend, a brother, and also an inspiration. They had asked me, this award show, hey, do you want a teleprompter? I said, no, I'd rather speak from the heart about Benny. I have an hour. You guys have no place to go, so let's just settle in. I'm only kidding. We'll get you out of here. But I thought, especially for this room, us here as creatives and storytellers and artists and people who just love to do what we do, and so grateful to do what we do, I thought, let me just share a few stories about Benny and then bring them out here. But they're stories I know that you guys would appreciate. And number one, there's the artistic side about Benny Safdie. There's a creative side about Benny Safdie, and there's this really, I think, unique hunger as a director and as a storyteller about Benny Safdie. And for example, on the set of Smashing Machine, when it came to the fighting scenes in the ring, Raging Bull with Scorsese and De Niro, that was one of our inspirations. One of Benny's inspirations, Requiem for a Heavyweight, was one of Benny's inspirations too as well. And if you guys remember, and another inspiration was It's a Wonderful Life, which may sound odd, given the givens with It's a Wonderful Life compared to Smashing Machine, but I'll get to that in a moment, and I believe you guys would appreciate it. But as it relates to Requiem for a Heavyweight and Raging Bull, unlike those two films that were our inspiration, Benny imposed a rule in the beginning of the shoot for himself and his camera operators, his DP, Maceo Bishop, an extraordinary DP, also our camera operator. He said, the rule is this: when it comes to the fights inside the ring, no cameras will be allowed in the ring. And if you think about that for a moment, you think with films like this, especially when it comes to fighting and the visceral nature of fighting, you want to get in there. We're all storytellers here. You want to get in, you want to get close, you want to get intimate, so the audience hopefully can feel the punches and the pain. Benny felt that, he said, I know it's counterintuitive, but I think if we were never in the ring and we were 2 to 3 rows back and we were fighting the backs of heads of the audience and fighting the ropes and the turnbuckles and the apron, he said, I think that may actually bring the audience in more and connect them to these fights. It's a gutsy move, I think, as a director, and it's counterintuitive. And he did that. And there were never any cameras in the ring. And what you see in Smashing Machine, in these fight scenes, he accomplished what he set out to do, and it actually does bring the audience in more. So they're feeling these moments with the character I played, Mark Kerr, and these other fighters, and of course, Dawn Staples, played by Emily Blunt so brilliantly in the movie. So that was a wild and I think radical thought. And I wanted to give Benny his flowers, especially in this room, especially for this award for Best Director. And he also then took that same strategy and he applied it to the fight scenes. And for those of you who haven't seen Smashing Machine yet, and I can't wait for you to see the movie, there's the fights in the ring, and which were tough, but were tougher were the fights outside of the ring, behind closed doors, between a husband and a wife, myself and Emily Blunt. And what Benny did in those scenes, he said, this may sound crazy, but I think I want to try and do the same thing. And Emily and I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm going to build the house on a soundstage that you live in. I'm going to build it, and I want all the walls to be immovable, okay? I want there to be running water. okay? And I want it to be exactly how they lived in their exact house. So that's what he built. But the reason why he built that was so he could hide all the cameras. So we never saw a camera. We never saw Maceo Bishop hold the camera. And in terms of lighting, there was no lighting stands, no lighting setups. Benny put all the lighting in the ceiling. So by the time we walked into the house, Emily and I, and it was time to kick off, and it was time to have our scenes where, as we've all experienced in some way or another, you know, when you have those fights behind closed doors, things get messy and they get ugly and they get raw, and it's like touching a raw nerve sometimes. And Benny felt that. So by the way, so imagine us as actors, what that does for us walking into the house, where you see no cameras, no cameramen, no lighting set, nothing. It's just our house. And the freedom of that, and what that does for us. And Benny then felt that, you know, if I hid the cameras and every shot, or the majority of the shots, were all kind of long lens, verite, fighting a wall, fighting a corner, he said, I think it may draw the audience in more. Again, I feel like it's a radical move. I've never seen or experienced that before. I've been around a long time. We've all been around a long time. And it paid off. The first time Christopher Nolan saw the movie, he said to Benny, I mean this in the most respectful and complimentary way. I feel like I shouldn't be watching this. Like, I feel like I'm violating their space. And it's so counterintuitive as a director. And he goes, I really want to give you credit and flowers for that. And, you know, so those are two reasons, like artistic reasons, why I thought you guys would appreciate why Benny deserves his flowers tonight for something like that. And finally, before I bring him out here, I thought, well, it feels like it's appropriate to just say something personal about Benny from me to him. I've been saying this as we've been talking about Smashing Machine during this time, and talking about the film and performances and direct and Benny, etc. But I say it because I mean it. It's the truth. Is the Smashing Machine has changed my life, and how it's changed my life is, I think, in ways that I never could have imagined, because I didn't realize it then, but I kind of realized it afterwards and towards the end of shooting, which was, oh man, this film changed my life in a way that it's helped me, and I know this sounds funny, but it's helped me discover things about myself that I didn't know. And also discover things about myself that, fuck, I didn't want to know. But I accepted it and embraced it. And I think in order for that kind of thing to happen, as an actor, as an artist, as we all know, I feel like we've all been in these moments before in our lives where it shifts and it clicks, and we realize, oh, that's my anchor. That's the kind of storyteller I want to become, or the filmmaker or the artist or the creative I want to become. But in order, I think, for that to happen, you got to have your partner. And you got to have the maestro, the visionary who believes in you and who sees things that maybe perhaps you don't see yourself. And for me, that was Benny Safdie. So I wanted to give you guys the artistic reasons why he's getting his flowers tonight, and then the personal reason why as well. And so without any further ado, I bring out an extraordinary director, an auteur. Oh, and also probably the most important thing is he's a good human being. And I feel like, you know, being a good human being could never go out of style. So, ladies and gentlemen, Benny Safdie.
Thank you for that, Dwayne. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. I wrote something down and then I rewrote it and then I changed it. So bear with me while I try to make sense of what I have written and what I have in my head. But I do want to just say thank you, Dwayne. That was really beautiful. And it's like I'm rubber, you're glue. Everything you say bounces off me and sticks to you in a good way. But thank you, Variety, and thank you, Hamilton, for this. And it's funny because specifically also on this movie, and a lot of the times I'm trying really hard not to be seen. Moving the cameras away, trying to make it look like I didn't do anything. So somebody comes and says, "Hey, you did a good job." That's a nice thing. So thank you for that. And thank you, A24, for not only believing in the movie, but for also believing in how we wanted to tell the story, because that really is just the best, understanding how we wanted to go through it. And just to be a part of this ceremony for everybody behind the camera, that really is the best, because I loved the crew that worked on this movie. Everybody poured their hearts into it. There was one day I remember I called David Copeland, who's here tonight, one of the producers, and I said, "How many people are going to be on set today?" And he's like, it was a bigger day, and it was like 163 people. And I happened to be in a crystal store. And don't ask, I just was. And they had a big box of flat fee, you choose your coolest crystal. And I found 163, brought a set, put it in a box, and I said to everybody, "Come down and grab one of these, because we're all mining this stuff together." And I feel like that's an important thing that we're all kind of doing, and I find that it was really beautiful because everybody, a piece of the movie exists with everybody. At least that's the goal for me. But to basically just say everybody knocked that out of the park, including Dwayne. You gave everything to me, and you allowed me to see sides of you that maybe you hadn't seen or I hadn't seen. And we looked at Mark and we realized that we could tell a story through his eyes, and we can learn about ourselves, but then we also learned that they were the same things we were exploring. And that kind of partnership is just with an actor is really special. And then you and Emily together, we were all really mining these moments of realism, trying to show human people in all their flaws and in all their glory, and just trying to put you in the eyes of somebody else, because that was a meaningful thing for us. So thank you to Emily out there in the world, in the universe. And since I'm getting metaphysical, I'll say to Mark Kerr, Dawn Staples, Mark Coleman, all the people who you allowed us to kind of go in and see the world. And then at the end of the day, it was really just something that we felt like, since it was so meaningful for us and the things we learned and laughed and struggled with, I wanted to put an audience in that position so that maybe they could learn and see those things too. And I'll end it with this anecdote. I don't know if it makes sense, but I'm going to say it anyways. The other day I was like, you know what? I really want to watch Smashing Machine. And I was at home and I took it out on my laptop, double-clicked on the file, and I watched the movie. And it was a really beautiful experience, because not only did I get to watch it and remember how we did all the stuff and think about the things we talked about to get these performances, but when this person put this here and all of the crew, how we did all of that stuff and made it happen. It was just a really beautiful thing. But then on top of that, for this thing to be a file on my computer, next to this crazy short film that I made with my brother and my high school documents, there was just something really poignant and meaningful about how the fact that all that existed in this one place. And I guess what I'm trying to say is it's all about perspective. So thank you, everybody, for this. This is a really meaningful thing, and thank you all for what you do and how we all continue to believe in movies as a way to understand humanity, because that's what it's all about. So thank you, and this is just great.